Starting now.
Right.
Alright. Hey everybody, it's I, Yukiola5 here, with two new people, or, well, not new, but one's new. So, guys, introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm James. I'm Yukila's cousin.
Alright.
Hello, I am ZeroNegative or Z or Zero or whatever you want to call me, because screw whatever that. Yeah.
Alright. So cool. Now that these freeloaders are done plugging their channels, no, well, Jimmy didn't really plug his channel, but whatever. Anyway, we are going to continue what we were doing last time. This time we actually have kind of a more structured thing, I guess. We added another person, in hopes that that'll kind of better lead the discussion, instead of kind of being all around the place like it was last episode.
Yeah.
And now we have like a legit topic we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about entertainment and the art of like storytelling, I guess, in a medium sense. It's kind of like my first real talk, if you've ever seen that. I feel like that's kind of what we're aiming for here. And I just realized I didn't finish Sora's Keyblade. So
Yeah, you forgot that little end right there.
yeah, I'm gonna finish that real quick.
I was gonna point that out. But I was like, maybe he knows what he's doing.
I didn't notice till you ended like the last one, so.
Yeah. So I'm gonna finish that up first before I start to ink him. But anyway, so we were saying, so let's start. I'm gonna start with the obvious thing that I'm interested in, and that is animation. So the art of telling a... What is that noise? Okay, what is that noise? Can someone knock that off?
What?
It was like a razor noise.
Seconds.
Anyway, so I'm gonna start it off with animation in general, because obvious reasons. But okay, so what are your... First, I'm gonna start off by saying, what are your guys' take on animation as a medium of telling a story?
Z, you want to go first?
Yeah, animation, I guess my most experience, my experience with animation mostly comes from just like watching anime and stuff like that. So I feel like it tells a story really well, and a lot of anime are very story driven, and that's what I'm more into. So like, not my casual watches, but like anything with a good story is really what piques my interest. So
Yeah.
I think for the most part, animation can do really well if like script writing and is really well done and stuff like that.
I agree on that because my all-time favorite animes is Elfen Lied, and mostly because like if you pay attention to the story to that in particular anime or whatever, is like, I mean, it's one animes that are just like, it's a tear-jerking story, and really pay attention to it.
Yeah, and it's like really, you just kind of have to get past some of the things that a lot of people would kind of be turned off of, like because in Elfen Lied, there's a lot of gore, and it's like because people's heads get fucking ripped off every episode. There's a lot of gore and stuff, but if you just look past it, you can see a greater story unfold. For example, Naruto, when that first came out, people were all like, "Oh my gosh, she turns into a girl, oh man." But after you look past that and actually watch it from beginning to end, it's like, whoa, these characters are deep. It gets real.
Indeed.
Drop my soda. It kind of sucks. So, yeah, animation as a whole. I want to talk about, aside from anime itself, I want to talk about animation, like, well, I mean, because there's a whole different realm of animation than just anime itself. There's, like, Disney, I guess would be a good example. They create stories, from fuck, making movies. Damn it, I cannot talk. Like, I don't fucking know what I'm trying to say. I need to use a different...
I think what you're trying to say. Personally, with Disney movies, as an example, animation can actually be used to shed light on a story more than you can by just listening to it. Because if you're actually watching the story going on, you're more interacted with it. You can eat when you're actually hearing and having to come up with the image yourself.
Right. It kind of brings me to my next form of storytelling, right? And it works with animation as well. It's video games, like as our video game character on the screen right now. Sora, video games tell a story through cutscenes, and the animations within those cutscenes, kind of like how, you know, an anime would play out or whatever. Like Fire Emblem, the cutscenes in Fire Emblem, pretty good. Z, I know you are a huge Fire Emblem fan.
Yes.
So, like, what are your guys' thoughts on telling a story through a video game? Whether it be through gameplay itself or through cutscenes. Like, what are your take on that?
Yeah, and there's also dialogue in video games where like there's either voice acting and like not necessarily cutscenes, but like kind of in between gameplay.
Yeah.
Like in Pokemon and in Fire Emblem, like outside of the cutscenes when there's just dialogue going on, like mid fight or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When it comes to video games and storytelling, I'm more of a cutscene kind of guy to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Yes, I will read the objective in the game and play through that. But if I really want to figure out what's going on with like the whole storyline, it's definitely the cutscenes for me that usually do the best storytelling.
Right. I feel like well, okay, so one of my favorite animators of all time on YouTube anyway is Egoraptor, and I'm pretty sure you guys know who he is. You've heard of him at least.
Yeah, I know he is.
Egoraptor himself has said before that he does not like cutscenes in video games because, I don't know, he thinks video games should be more of you play the game and you play the story instead of you like watch a movie, like, because that's kind of what cutscenes are, right? But I tend to disagree with that ideology because it's like a game is another medium of telling a story, and if it wants to do so through cutscenes, then who's to say it can't, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you play the new Devil May Cry DMC, I don't know if you guys have or not. I played a bit of it.
Haven't.
But there's a lot of cutscenes in the game. It's like after every 10 minutes of you playing the game, you get a new cutscene, and it's just like pretty much over half the game is cutscenes.
Don't get me wrong, like, it can definitely be excessive at times. Like, there are, like, if you've ever played the new Uncharted game, it is literally, like, that is what it is. It's all cutscenes. It's like 7 hours of cutscenes and then, like, 2 seconds of playing it. And it's really good. Like, from what I've heard, like, the cutscenes themselves are really good. It's interesting. But, like, when you're looking at it through a gameplay perspective, is this really what I'm here to do? Like, I might as well watch a movie, right?
Right.
I don't know, it's...
Yeah.
You just gotta wonder.
Go ahead.
Nah, it's... Yeah, your move. What's up? Go ahead.
Wait.
Hello?
Silent.
Yeah, no, it's... Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it. What were you gonna say, Jimmy?
I forgot what I was gonna say. Actually, I was waiting for Z to go because I was gonna let Z go first.
Oh, what's up?
Well, yeah. I can definitely see like cutscenes are excessive at times, but
Like,
I think Fire Emblem is a game that does cutscenes really well because they're
yeah, they do a great job of...
only there for the really big plot moments or like at the end of a fight or like right before a fight starts to like get you really build the atmosphere and build the scene up, and it really does help to like it adds a whole new game. But then there's also games where cutscenes are really, really excessive and like it feels like you're not even playing a game. It depends on the game. Sometimes I do enjoy that, but most of the times I just would rather experience the game for myself rather than just have literally a ton of cutscenes.
Right, and the thing about Fire Emblem itself is, I think their cutscenes do a great job of like really putting you into the story without being excessive.
Yes, yeah, that's what I mean. It's only there for the really big plot to help you get into like whatever the story is a little better.
Fire Emblem, I think, is a very cutscene oriented game for, like, I mean, it's very the cutscenes are there for the player, like they're so you can better be connected with what you're trying to do. So like when something happens within the story, you actually feel like you're either responsible or you had an impact on it. You know.
Yeah.
And then with like on a different note, it's like with Kingdom Hearts' cutscenes, they it's very shit, I messed up his hair. No, with Kingdom Hearts, the cutscenes are very needed, I would say, because they're like, especially for PS2 back in the day, right? It was like really well done. Stuff like we never really saw a lot of that, the way they were trying to do it. And it was really good, I thought. And it was Disney, so it was like already had those different brilliant stories into it. And then they added it, and I don't know, it was all good. Love all the cutscenes from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, in Kingdom Hearts 2, which I never played because I just happened to find the games or own them, and I didn't really Amazon and buy them. I might eventually get them since I do have a PS2, but
I just get the
Kingdom Hearts, I watched a playthrough of the second game, and it seemed like the cutscenes weren't excessive. They were in places where you needed them, and pretty much like beginning and end of like each level.
Yeah.
Which built the atmosphere, helped you get like objective in your mind of going to accomplish that level, and then gives you a lot of times it motivates you to complete the level. So it helped a lot. One of the better uses of cutscenes I've seen, besides like I told you, Fire Emblem I feel like does cutscenes like almost perfect the way they've done it in recent games.
Right.
Just because it like the way they incorporate it, they only use like a few cutscenes, but they're always like almost perfect. And it's just incredible. Like animation wise, they look beautiful. Voice acting wise, they sound beautiful. They build they help you get to know what the plot's happening. They help motivate you to continue the game, and it's just an insanely good. But Kingdom Hearts is definitely up there with their cutscenes and how well they portray just use.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, like one of my all-time favorite video games, since Yukio has introduced to me. Back when I was like 5 or something. I can't remember how old I was when he introduced it to me. I was youngish. Yeah, it's always been one of my all-time favorite games, and them being goddamn stingy about number 3, but that's another story.
Hey, they're coming out with it. It's coming. I can't wait. I'm excited.
I know they're being stingy with it though.
Yeah, they are. Oh my gosh, what the hell with my USB? Yeah, technical difficulty.
Which actually, I know it's a little off topic, but so there was a rumor I heard going around, which I'm not really sure on how we're making an MMORPG Kingdom Hearts, where you customize your own character and like amass.
There's
just train you how to use it.
It's. I'm not sure how MMO it is, but I think you're thinking about Kingdom Hearts, the online. There is a Kingdom Hearts MMORPG type of thing. It's Kingdom Hearts what's it called, Unchained, Keychained, or something like that, and it is a real thing, but it's not as cool as you'd think it is. Like, it was out in Japan. There's a mobile game that's kind of like it, but it's not. I mean, I think it's the same thing, just not MMO. I don't know. It's important, like, for the story. Okay, this is good for talking about the story through video games, right? Is the thing that makes me mad about Kingdom Hearts' storytelling, right? Is they aren't consistent. Like, Kingdom Hearts is good. They did a great job with the first few games, telling the story and everything. But then they had to make it so damn complex with, like, adding a Birth by Sleep, and then, which was fine, because that was still a genuine thing. But the thing is that they added a lot of major story elements into the games that no one really played. Like in Kingdom Hearts 3D Dream Drop Distance for the 3DS, that had a lot of very important story elements that set up for Kingdom Hearts 3. That a lot of people don't know, which is why they're doing the whole Kingdom Hearts 2.8 thing. If you've heard about that, 2.8 remix or whatever for PS4, and they also put a lot of important stories into a freaking mobile game, the Kingdom Hearts mobile game. I have it on my phone actually, but
is it any good?
Yeah, it's decent. I mean, it's not bad. But it's very important to the actual story within Kingdom Hearts 3. So.
Alright. We came to, like, the smaller Kingdom Hearts games, like, 300-2Ds, and,
that was good. I like that one.
I think it was... Oh, yeah, it was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And the, I have Recoded.
Recoded was lame. I did not
Recoded,
like it.
I was not as big of a Recoded fan as I was of, 300-2Ds.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah. I think 350-2 Days was actually a very important game due to the fact that it gave you more of a backstory on Roxas and
it was important for
everything.
the story.
Not that.
But all right, so let's move away from Kingdom Hearts because just in case there are people who want to hear more stuff about storytelling. As far as video games go, I think we've pretty much scratched the main surface of it all. Just cutscenes, whatever. There are stories that can be told through gameplay in general, which is cool. But something I do actually real quick before I completely go off this topic is I want to talk about the cutscenes in Super Smash Bros. Brawl real quick. Because if you because if you think about it, right, in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, they did cutscenes that were not voiced at all. Like, all of the cutscenes were so majestic. Like, I don't know, I really love the Brawl cutscenes because they were able to tell a story without having the characters communicate with each other, and that was brilliant, I thought.
Yeah.
So.
I liked the cutscenes a lot because the whole Brawl is basically just like in Smash, it's basically its own universe where it's just all characters out of their own universe where it doesn't matter at all. You kind of just plop them into the same setting, and it works really well for the most part, like the way they did it. And like the whole trophy theme was really interesting, and yeah, the cutscenes were really well done just because they told a story without using dialogue, which is pretty much unheard. So it's except for like mimes.
So you don't need to have voice acting for a story to be good. Like, there's just so many different ways of going about cutscenes that you can tell your story any kind of way you want. I think that's pretty interesting that's one of the unique things about video games, honestly, is you can tell a story through just gameplay. Like, there doesn't even have to be cutscenes. If you watch Egoraptor's Sequelitis video on Mega Man X, that kind of drives that point home, and I think that's cool.
The Mega Man sequel that Egoraptor did was actually my all-time favorite one of all the ones he's done.
Another thing I don't is his Ocarina of Time one. I know that's controversial, but I don't know. I think he had good points. I mean, I love Ocarina of Time, but I'm not gonna like bash on him for criticizing a game he doesn't like. I mean, that's not, it's like whatever, man. Have your own opinions. It shouldn't matter what anyone else thinks, right? Anyway, back to the topic at hand. What I was going to go to was next. I want to go to the idea of telling a story through music. What are you guys' thoughts on that? I'll just send that broad statement out there. Like,
All
real
right.
quick, I want Z to talk about this first because one of his musical idols just passed away. Christina, I forget her name. My bad.
Christina Grimmie. Yeah.
And she was
Wasn't that like
Um,
that 22-year-old YouTuber singer chick?
yeah, the
Yes.
popular. They're over like what 3 million subscribers.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I found out about her death through this guitarist, or well, he's a bassist, that band from Five Finger Death Punch, the bassist from Five Finger Death Punch, Instagram, and I was so sad to hear that 22-year-old died. So yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what does her music tell a story? Do you think? I guess we can start with that.
Well, her music is definitely. Her voice was amazing, but her music is more so about. It's a lot of traditional, like, kind of breakup stuff. So, like, it does, and a lot of them do tell stories, and you can sort of get where she's coming from with them. But they're not as storytelling as other music.
So
I
guess
feel
not
like.
as groundbreaking in that regard. I mean, you can have as much respect for her music as you want, but it's with the current topic at hand, it doesn't really fit.
Yeah. Her music in particular doesn't fit as well, but like there are a lot of musicians that have music that tell stories really well,
Right.
and yeah,
I guess in some ways it actually just depend on the artist you would listen to when it comes to telling a story. Like, for me, I've never heard of this Christina chick until after I found out she died. I didn't bother to listen to her music. I don't really plan on it. But if her music tells a story, then that's cool or whatever. But like one of my all-time favorite singers, Corey Taylor, from Slipknot and Stone Sour. Um,
Slipknot. Sorry.
yeah,
Don't like.
I know.
But
I'm
continue.
sorry. I know.
Yeah, go on.
I know Yuki's not really a big fan of Slipknot. Slipknot, they recently came out with an album back in 2014, which that whole album was to the memory of the late bass player Paul Gray and his death. And most of the songs actually on that album did tell a story because they had a song on there called Goodbye. And that whole song was just about how the band sat in one room and they were all saying their goodbyes to Paul. So, more or less, it would actually more just fall under who it is you listen to.
Right.
yeah,
Like, Lil Wayne, he does not have any story in any of his music at all. Let's kind of face it with that one.
I don't like Lil Wayne, but I wouldn't say just because you don't like someone, I wouldn't say they don't have a story. Because, like, music is an expression of one's self, one's soul, one's ideals, whatever. And while a lot of mainstream artists like to use it for, like, sex, money, drugs, whatever, that doesn't mean it can completely be dismissed as nothing. Like, I don't know. I've never heard a Lil Wayne song, but
I've heard of.
But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if there's a song he may have that deals with, like, a personal story of his own or what, but, I don't know. It's just, that's, the thing about music is that, like, no matter who you are, you do have the opportunity to create a story with your craft. and I don't know. A lot of like okay. While we're on the topic of rappers, Eminem, he, I used to
Most
be a
definitely.
super what?
Eminem most definitely tells a lot of stories in a lot of his music.
Yeah, I mean, I
You
used
know,
to be a huge Eminem fan. I'm not so much anymore, just because I don't like the connotations with some of his stuff anymore. But basically, he uh, he does know how to tell a story with his art, and I think that's interesting.
anything after the Recover album, I didn't quite get into, but like the whole Recovery album, man, that one. My favorite album with him was Encore. That one had a lot of my favorite songs, like Bird and you know,
That was definitely a very
Just Lose.
storytelling heavy song. It was definitely like storytelling. It was a song about storytelling. Like that's pretty much what it was. Mockingbird.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to. No, I get what this is about and everything. I'm just saying, like
Six Fingers.
stories in, album, were really good. Like, I'm Not Afraid was just all about him get past recovery and all that good happy and that stuff. And the Mockingbird song, that whole song was just, and the story of that was just Eminem talking to his daughter, hey, explaining a lot of things.
Right.
So those were really good, But anything of his newer stuff, I can't say I don't quite understand enough. So that was just, I guess I'm trying to go out with this.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't really listen to any of his new stuff, so I wouldn't know. I mean, I think no matter what kind of art it is. Oh shit! I didn't lock that last. Crap! I didn't lock that last sketch drawing thing. Anyway, yeah, with any artist in particular, it's like I feel like in some way every artist is trying to tell a story. Some way or another. We may not understand what the story necessarily is, but I feel like everyone has a story. Everyone. Like, even if you're not musically inclined, that doesn't mean you don't have a story in your heart. I don't know. I don't want that to sound sappy or whatever you want to call it, but it's just, I don't know. That's how I feel. Like, huh?
That's true and everything, like a lot of artists, a lot of bands out there, you know, every artist never been every one of their songs. It's just whether the song is and the story is for you or not for you. I guess would be like the whole thing about this.
Yeah. So
Like Five Finger Death Punch.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there any other medium of storytelling you guys can think of besides what we've already touched on?
I mean, there's like actual just writing.
Yes, that's a good
There's
one.
fiction in novels and books and stuff.
Right, yeah, that's actually a really good one.
Poems.
The most basic form of storytelling is writing a story. Actually writing a story. Here's my opinion on books, right? I can appreciate books easily. Like, I appreciate the idea. I would love to be able to, I mean, you think, with as much as I talk about storytelling and everything, I would love reading. I hate reading with a burning passion. And I don't know what it is about it. It's just like words on a paper put me to sleep. They do. I don't know if it's because they're too descriptive or what. But I love writing. Like, I'll write a book any day of the week, but I will not read one. It's hard to describe. But I can appreciate books because of what they're trying to accomplish, right? They're trying to tell you a story in a very, in its own unique way. It's its own medium. That, like, some people will say, oh, you wrote a book because you're trying to create your story in the most easiest way possible. When that's not entirely true, because writing a book is very difficult. Like, people will say, oh, animators spend a lot more time creating their craft or manga artists, because they have to draw each character and this scene. when you just write a book, it makes them look, or it makes you look lazy. But that's not true at all, because writing a book is just as hard as creating a manga.
Yeah. Books for me, I read the Percy Jackson series for a while, and like I really have to be a story to be able to read continuously without like or like anything. Reading is like harder for me to do because I'd rather have a way of being more intertwined with the story, whether that is by actually seeing it play out, like in a movie or anime, or like in the game being a story in a way. So that's why I'm like Yuki, where I can appreciate books being like we wouldn't have like storytelling really wouldn't have without books first. So like everything starts as an idea and a concept that's just words, and so it's interesting to see. I can appreciate books, but I don't read as much as I'd like to have. Like I don't hate as much as I don't like it right now, but like, I find it so boring a lot of the times.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on it, Jimmy?
Whereas, books are definitely, which actually, I've been reading a book myself called, Your Menu Can Take Your Consent That Humans Have Any Sense Left by Corey Taylor. Yeah, that's a fucking mouthful. But, when I'm reading a book, I kind of want it to be in, like, journal format, if that makes any sense.
No, I get you. It kind of like puts you into the action.
See from somebody's perspective,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
nonfiction.
Yeah, I mean, it could be fiction or nonfiction or whatever. I just like journals. Like, if somebody were writing a journal and
Yeah,
then
like,
giving it to
I like anything that has to do with like,
Yeah.
the Holocaust. I think World War II is very interesting. And yeah, I'll read a book that, like as I said before, I don't like reading, but in that, okay, there are a few books that I have read in my lifetime. It's kind of sad, but my favorite book ever. Well, it's hard to say if it's my favorite, but it's up there, and that's The Book Thief. If you've ever read that, it's
I had to read my sophomore year.
I read that in 7th grade, but it was truly one of the best books I've ever read, because it's one of the only books I've ever willingly read. Like, I mean, not willingly, I mean, we had to do it as an assignment, but I actually did that assignment. And, because the whole story is told through the perspective of death during the Holocaust, and it's so good. Like, the idea, it's just, that storytelling was so brilliant. I loved it a lot. So.
Which, the book was definitely an interesting book for me to read. I had to read it, so if I actually look at it from a different perspective, you can look at it as if it was death writing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at it from another perspective.
Right. It's his own
So,
account.
I mean,
what
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it when I read it with my class or whatever, but I can definitely say I have an appreciation for it.
Right.
Yeah, one of the that like when they read something for like school or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like a book that's generally conceived as really good. Like for me, it was The Outsiders. I read The
Yes, I read
Outsiders,
that
and I
one.
really enjoyed it.
I love that book.
Yeah, it's something that really, when you sit down and you can focus on reading without it being boring or like having to do it or being motivated to do it, it like books are truly something awesome. They're just a lot of times it doesn't seem as easy to read something as it really is because of how it means to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The Outsiders, like, it was very unique. Especially at the end when you figure out that it's like it loops back to the beginning. You're just kind of like, what? You know, it's like it's got a wow factor waiting for you. It's I don't know, it's pretty good. I just like that.
yeah, The Outsiders was a really good book
Mm-hmm.
as well. So
I actually have never read that. Neither of the two high schools or any of the elementary schools I went to never made me read those books.
yeah, it's a good book too. And if you're looking for something interesting to read like that, that has like almost a different feel from a lot of books. It's got like almost a classic-ish feel. Like
Yeah,
by
it's
classic,
like,
I mean
like 80s kind of feel.
yeah, it's got 80s-ish,
Yeah.
80 more so. And it's really just focuses on like a unique and different perspective. So like I think that's why it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yet it's
I'm
still
not sure
relatable.
I'm not sure if I'm knowing this correctly or not, but like I think there was a movie of that book or whatever, and wasn't like one of the characters named
Yes,
Tony Boy or something?
Yeah, Stay
Pony
Gold.
Boy. Yeah, you're right.
Stay Gold, Pony Boy.
Pony Boy, Dairy, a bunch of other people.
Yeah,
I
Derry.
forget.
I forget.
Yeah, the only reason I do that whatever is because last summer I went to my aunt's house, and it was just we watched that movie, and like that's the only thing. It was clicking, but like I wasn't sure if that was the right movie.
We did have a movie that was a movie I saw, but it wasn't as good
Yeah, I didn't
compared
think
to the book. Like
I mean, it was.
as most things are, but
Yeah.
still, I found it interesting. So
It wasn't terrible. It was decent.
yeah, it was bad. I just
Not as
didn't
bad as
like it as much as I liked the movie.
Yeah, I've definitely seen worse adaptations of a book, and that's another thing about storytelling in general is like when you would try to adapt it to a different medium. It's okay. Like say a author creates a book, and it's what they envisioned it to be. When you change the medium to be like a movie, then it's the director's job to take what their original interpretation was and create their own interpretation of the same story. And that's why I say everyone has their story, like, because they can take the same characters, same setting, same everything, and make it completely different. Okay, so in my theater tech class, where it has nothing to do with like acting or anything, but we did have to do like the standards for it changed. Basically, all we do in that class is like work on sets and stuff for theater productions. But we had to learn like we had to learn how to act, I guess, for like one unit, just to like, so we had a basic knowledge of acting. And basically, we were all divided up into 2 people groups. So we had like 15 groups of 2 people, and we all had to act out the exact same scene. And every single person came up with it was pretty much a completely different scene. Like it was funny every single time we watched it by a different person. Everyone had their own interesting and unique take on it. It was really cool. So that's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
It's like stories are subject to change based on who's telling the story.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's what I like about the Hero Olympus books, which are the sequel series to Percy Jackson.
Right.
It's told in third person, but it zooms in sometimes to like the character. Like it'll focus on one character, and it won't necessarily be from their perspective, but it'll be focusing on the part of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the more interesting things about that is that you get to see the different characters, like their parts of the story, and then how they interact and how they intertwine between. So, like you said, like you get to see things from different perspectives. It really adds a lot to the storytelling.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of like books and writing and stuff, what do you guys feel about like poetry?
Uh, it's different. Um, it, I don't know. Okay. I like the whole. I like the old way of talking. Like I like Shakespearean literature, or in the way it's presented. Um, like I like saying old words like knave, uh, and just thou had thus, whatever. The way, if you've ever seen Tome on YouTube, the way Nylock talks in that show, uh, yeah, I don't know. I like that speech, but I mean, as far as Shakespearean literature itself goes, I am not a fan. It's just not my thing. It's the same way with like reading. It's just kind of boring. Um, though poetry itself can be really a really powerful tool for telling a story. Because it's kind of almost like a message, right? Told by the creator or author. Um, they have an idea for a story, but they kind of like hide it. Like, Oh Captain, My Captain is about Abraham Lincoln, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With poetry, I think it's similar to how songs work. It can tell a story in a very limited amount of time. It's more than like books and movies, um, like TV shows and all, because you're more limited with poetry. Like you're not expected to be putting up like 3 pages,
Yeah.
But it definitely is a short and sweet way of telling a story using a lot of time interesting imagery and like I can appreciate poetry for it, and like I definitely think it's really cool. But like I've never gotten too into it myself. Like I'm with reading poetry, like I never has to do it. I just don't
Right.
really read it. I don't
It's not like
actively
a.
seek out to read poetry
Yeah.
or
The
anything
only
like that.
reason I the reason I bring up poetry or whatever is because before I graduated, um, I wrote a poem for a contest in school, and now it's getting published in a book. So
Oh, that's cool.
I was willing to get like
Yeah. It's. I mean, some people may have a hidden talent for poetry. You never know. It's like just one of those things. Uh,
yeah. If I ever find a copy of it, I'll read it to you guys or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's like I don't know. Ever since that happened, I just wanted to get other people's intake on poetry itself because And while we were on the topic of storytelling, I just want to see if you guys thought poetry could tell a good story.
they can. Yeah, definitely. I think anything can tell a story. It's just it has to do with the heart of the creator. Like if they want their message to get across, then they will work their hardest to do that. No matter what the medium they're going for, if they try their hardest to get it, realized, then they can. It's like animators. Going back to animators, they they work hard. I would know. The professional animators you see on like YouTube and whatnot, they are some of the hardest working people I've ever seen. Like Monty Oum, the creator of Ruby, he passed away last year, and it was really sad. That man worked harder than any other animator I wouldn't say that, but he worked really hard, and he was always constantly working on a new project. And it's because he wanted to show the world his story. And Ruby was his legacy, right? It was continued by his company, which is pretty awesome, I think. But you see, he never shied away from his dream, never shied away from his story, never neglected his story, always stuck with it, and he always tried his best. So that's just my opinion
Right.
on it. But then you have,
Ruby go to
oh
watch.
yeah,
I'm not
definitely,
even gonna lie. I did enjoy Ruby myself.
yeah, definitely,
Yeah, I'm excited to see the continuation of Ruby because, it's not finished. It's not even really close to the finish, but
exactly.
it's starting to pick up to the point where it's getting to like the heat of the story and a lot of stuff is going down. So I'm excited to see that continue.
Yeah, and you see,
Most definitely.
his hard work paid off, right? Because now people are never gonna forget him. Because first of all, he left behind his legacy. That show will always be on the internet. It'll always be here. They'll never forget who he is. And since he worked so hard, he was able to luckily get it published onto a great company like Rooster Teeth, and they were able to work on it for him after he's done, after he's gone, and like it's continued. Like it's just I don't know. I find that really inspiring, really cool.
So I guess a question should be asked: do you think they will continue the story in a way how? Do you think they'll add like a new intake and a
Well,
new like
it goes back
a
to
different
my
light to it?
yeah, it goes back to my original statement of when you move one piece of work to another medium, kind of thing. Like, it's like one, except it's just one creator to another creator. Unless I'm not sure if Monty Oum like left behind his idea for the entire show or where he was going with it. If he didn't, then obviously it's not going to be the same as what he envisioned. But I think regardless, he already set up the groundwork for it to become. So no matter like what they create, he'll always be proud of it. Like it'll always do him justice. I think. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I know he did leave behind a decent amount of did for most of the story. They had a way of wrapping it up, but like there's some in between stuff that they didn't quite get to yet. So I sort of improvised with that, but I think it's still going to be a good job interpreting Monty's take on it. He had passed. So yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm very happy about that. He was good, and also another animator that died a long time ago, way before Owen passed, was I mean I never watched his stuff. I mean I've heard of him way back when he was popular on Newgrounds, but there was an animator known as Ed Gold. He did Ed's World, if you've ever seen that.
I think I have.
Yeah, he was very popular Newgrounds thing, and like the show Ed's World still continues today. It's like taken by his friend. I forget how all that works, but I mean it's really good. It's I don't know. He left like 'cause he started working on Ed's World. Back then, and he started to work toward his dream, and he made it far. Like he created so many episodes or whatever before he passed that after he passed again, someone was able to take it over for him, and that's awesome. Like he left his legacy here in the same way Monty Oum did. Man, that second shoe pisses me off. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I think I have finished the line art. And yes, that second shoe is bugging the fuck out of me. But I don't care. I don't feel like fixing it.
So yeah, I think we should wrap up because we're kind of getting long again.
Yeah, giggity.
And this is a pretty decent stopping point.
Yup.
Since you just finished the line art as well, so.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in conclusion, first of all, what y'all think of the line art? I think it turned out pretty okay. That like fucking that annoys the hell out of me. But it's shoes, and okay, especially Sora's shoes are fucking retarded. But these clown shoes. But yeah, I think to recap or not recap, but to end off, a final note I want to end off on. Okay, I'll say my final words, but first I want you two to give your final thoughts. So let's start with Z. What are your final thoughts on storytelling in general and all the different mediums and stuff?
Personally, like my life, a lot of what inspires me is through some sort of medium of storytelling, because it's just literally, it's everywhere. Fiction is everywhere. Nonfiction's everywhere. So like music inspires me in other ways, and so does like of course I've written like for my music I've done songs about characters that were originally in some sort of medium of storytelling. So it's definitely impacted me in a way, and it's mark on me and makes me want to tell my own stories. So in general, I think storytelling is a beautiful thing that is just so interesting and intricate that it's just notable and cool to see it and to experience it.
All right, and then Jimmy, what's your final thoughts?
Storytelling is, well, in any medium at all, is just definitely a great impact on everyone's life in my own ways, because like, I mean, it's everywhere, and it's like, I don't know, like without these storytellings or whatever, it would leave all of us with like dull and boring lives, therefore, and no one would have any dreams to shoot for. So with all these storytellings all over, it's just, I think it's like the biggest impact on the human imagination, just to test our limits and everything. Yeah, in my own personal opinion.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I'm with you there.
I mean, with all the,
Yeah, go ahead.
I've written a few songs and crap. I mean, I've definitely read some books, and it's just, I don't know, like the vast, ways people find different ways of storytelling. Because if you think about it, every day there's a new way for a different story to be told. New movies are being created. Therefore new stories are being created. More books are being published. More songs are being written.
Yeah.
It's just, it really shows how the human mind can go so far into a creative state that just makes it just, all in all, it's pretty inspiring if you look at it
Yeah.
at the right angle.
That brings me to my final thought on everything. Is just with the way the world is structured, storytelling is something that we do best, right? Because it has to do a lot with inspiration, the motivation to create, the need to create. Honestly, if you think about it, humans from the beginning of time has always had like a desperate need to create things, and I think storytelling is a way of, there is like an evolution of that idea. It's what we've been doing since the beginning. It's a way we occupy time. Uh, you know, it. I don't know how to get my thoughts exactly out there. I don't know what the right words would be for me to express how I feel about stories in general. But I think stories are very important in this world, and I can't say exactly my idea on that. But I think it's just pretty much the same thing what you guys said. Like, they're everywhere. Stories are everywhere, and they're an integral part of today's society, especially. What with YouTube and all these different mediums where we can share stories so easily through internet. It's interesting and really cool. So my final words to all of the people listening are: follow your dream, tell your story. Whatever you want to be. If you want to be a chef, or if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an animator, a screenwriter, an actor, actress, like, tell your story through your craft. You can tell a story through creating an amazing dish. Let your story be the taste within I don't know, whatever kind of dish you create as a cook, I don't know, it's just like that idea I like that idea of being able to tell your story in any way you can. So.
Right. I mean, take sushi for example. If you really want to think about it, look at how creative it is, and like the type of art that it is to make that by itself.
Yeah. The idea of art is also something we could get into later. It's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. Art is everywhere as well. But that's all I've wanted to say. Thank you guys for watching this episode of this is still yet to be titled. It'll be titled by the time it comes out, but it's a podcast of sorts, and we'll be doing more of these in the future. Different people will come on, talk about different subjects, and I'll do more drawings and maybe some animation. So I'll see you guys then. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.